might not want.
Sorry,
Forgot
forgot to
to
record it.
I forgot to remind you to push the
Yeah,
button.
yeah, that's okay. I got it now. Yeah.
I gotta start all over.
Mhm. Yeah, so let's go with hi, I'm no. Go ahead. Yeah, no
Buddy.
problem.
Okay, so by having this discussion, people will see, where the club wants to go, and everybody can help buy into the picture of where the club wants to be. How we can look at different things to help the club along.
Mm.
And every member might have a different reason for being there. So you want to see what is the reason, what is the value that people are getting out of your club. So you may have a group of people that they want to meet at in the evening instead at someplace else. So let's try and see how we can retain that group. Maybe you do a satellite club. That group will meet at night, and the rest of us will meet for lunch during the day. And then you come together for socials and projects, and you can be one happy family. I mean, just like when you have your family, everybody kind of does their own thing, but you come together when it's a holiday or a special occasion. So looking at all the different facets of your club and what makes it move. And that's what a vibrant club workshop would be. So you might not want to be the one conducting it because you want to take notes. It would be good for somebody else to take the notes. But that's why the club trainer is here. The club trainer can help facilitate, because the facilitator is the one who's going to move the discussion along. And I think Benson's going to talk about how we can kind of hold pono. So when you're doing a meeting, you may have people who have different ideas or may not agree, but we want to come together for the betterment of the club. So it's how we can get our hearts and minds together to move together, because what you guys do with your clubs is just so awesome. And that feeling that you did something good for someone else, for your community, or for a member is really what holds us all together. So you look at the different facets. It could be communication, could be service, what kind of service projects you want, but you always want to start with why. Why are we doing? Why is it that you're here? Why is it that these members are here? And try and see. Once you got that why in your mind, then you can move forward for the decisions. So remember pets? Do you guys remember design thinking? Who remembers design thinking? Okay, so that was all about how the user wants to be treated. What is the user's point of view? So even for the district, okay, what is it? You guys are the users, so what do we need to do to get your input, and what can we do for you? So same with your members, your club. From the user's point of view, what is it that they want? What is the best experience for someone? So for instance, a guest visits your club. What is that experience that you want them to have? Or what do they want? What do they expect? What do your members expect for communication, for one? Okay, so it's always the why. Okay, remember that book? Do you guys read that book on why? It's all about the why. So looking at the why and thinking about what our mission is. So when you hear the word brand, okay, what does brand, the Rotary brand, mean to you? Okay, what does it mean to Randy? You're smiling. Okay, so what does Rotary brand mean to you?
The Rotary brand, I think it's just a feeling, right? I think for all of us, it's what specifically it is to your club. So for our club, it's our brand specifically is something that will be cross demographic, right, and cross generational. And I think that's what we always try to do, is make sure that we appeal to different age groups, and our part of our brand is the relationships that we've developed with the 3 nonprofits that we've chosen. So that's our brand, and the relationships that we built with them, and the specific service projects, and our focus on mental health and human rights and civil rights.
Yep. So brand is not just the brand name, it's all of that. It's that feeling. So this is what Haley Berland said from Siegel and Gale. Brand is a guide or lens for the way you think, the way you act, the way you communicate, brought to life at every point of interaction with your audiences, both internal and external. So that's for a person, but it's also applicable to your club. So what is the brand of your club? Okay, so when you think about doing the workshop, think about these things. What is the brand? What is the community's image of your brand? What is your members' image of your brand? So what is that brand of your club? Okay, so your community, the why you do projects for the community, they have certain needs, they have a certain demographic. So if you look at your demographic of your community, does that mirror in your club? So if you've got a lot of business people around you, is that the way that your club looks? A lot of business people? So kind of look at your community and where you are and see what the demographics are and see if you can mirror that breakdown in your club. Okay. So that's the image outside, the image inside, and the image for you. So that internal culture is what we're going to be talking about next. And Susan and maybe Randy, we're going to talk a little bit about what is the club culture.
Hey, so is this where you would like me to share my presentation? Because I actually put something together for you.
Oh, okay.
Which
Benson?
I could just talk about, but I thought you wanted me to share.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. If it looks like a good time, man, why not?
Good time? Okay, I'll share my screen. All right, hang on. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to talk about club culture. So a little bit about me, guys. My name is Susan Sabo again. I work with Young Living Essential Oils. I have a team of 1,500 people. In my life as an entrepreneur, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've worked with teams of thousands of people, and usually in small groups. And we've worked a lot on culture. So that's why I feel like, oh yeah, I could totally talk about culture. So how do I apply this to Rotary? And what do we do? So in Rotary, we have the 4-way test, right? That is part of our culture, right? And I'm going to open the chat. If you guys could share other kinds of culture we have in Rotary. What else do we do besides the 4-way test? So we do happy dollars. We do the Pledge of Allegiance. Anything else you guys want to share? Like, what does your club do? What's part of your thing? So you can type it into the chat and I will keep going. So we're going to talk about what is culture. And I want to share this story with you. So this is part of my team. We were doing a leadership retreat and we went from this beautiful hotel into this really cool house up in the mountains in Utah. And when we checked into the house, there was this sign on the side by the door that was there for all of us to read. And so this was the culture of the home. Be nice, think good thoughts. I mean, the kids that grew up in that home obviously wrote it. That's the culture. So the culture is underlying. So we have the 4-way test, we have the things we do and who we are, but the culture is kind of the air we breathe. It's what we do, who we are. So that's the stuff that's important to talk about because it's not as obvious as the 4-way test. Because you can do the 4-way test, but are you living it and breathing it? So I'm going to talk a little bit about our culture. So what's the vibe of your club? When people walk in, are they excited to be there? Well, right now, nobody's walking in, but if you're on Zoom, are you excited to be there? Are people showing up like, all right, let's get on this thing, as opposed to another meeting? So one of the things I took away from PETS that was so important is that we need new members and we need retention in Rotary, if Rotary is going to survive for another however long. So how do we do that? We create a culture people want. So for me, what I think is so important and I want to get across to our club is that you matter. Like every single one of us, because so often people think, you know, it doesn't matter if I show up. I'm busy and, you know, I got stuff going on. Doesn't matter if I'm paying attention. Doesn't matter if my camera's on. It doesn't matter if I'm not present at a meeting or I put my hand up or I comment or I do anything because I don't really matter. But the fact is, every single one of us matters. So we are leading the culture. We are the mommy and daddy duckies, and our board, we're all like quacking along, and our clubs will do what we do. So if you have a meeting and half the leadership board is not there, what does that tell people, consciously or unconsciously? So we get to raise the bar. I mean, my club, I'm being handed the most amazing, vibrant club. So I feel very fortunate. But you know what? We're going to raise the bar even higher. So in your club, if they're struggling and things aren't working, let's always think about AGB, which is we're always getting better. We can always get better. We can always do better, and we can learn. And I love Mel Robbins says it's a process, not an event. So who is old enough to remember this TV show? Anyone remember what this is?
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay.
Cheers.
So, right. Oh my God, Randy, you know, Randy's famous for not knowing movies and songs. So what was the thing about Cheers in every episode? Norm came in. Everyone said hello to Norm. How special does Norm feel? But what happens if Norm comes in already and the other person walks in and nobody goes, hey, Linda? Oh, like it's deflating. And I can tell you, I have been this person in so many meetings because while I don't always look quiet and shy, I'm very quiet and shy. And one of the things that attracted me to our club is that everyone was like, hey, like people were so nice when I joined and made me feel my being there mattered. Like I was special. So I felt like Norm. So we want to make people feel like that. So I want to empower our membership committee to make everyone feel welcome. I want to have greeters when we meet in person. I want to remind people that as people come onto Zooms, we're welcoming them. Everyone should feel like, oh, you're here. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here, as opposed to it's just another head. So think about a flight attendant. We've all been on flights where we feel like we're one of this like mass of people that are getting crummy service. So think about yourself as the flight attendant, as the steward of the space. Everything that's happening on the Zoom, I encourage everyone to always have a co-host on their Zooms. So when people come unmuted, when cameras, like if someone is eating lunch and you're in the middle of like a really good meeting, like maybe mute their camera, like be aware as a co-host. And so as the steward of the space, we want to create something really special for people. One of the ways I want to do this is to support each other's businesses. I am sure that we will attract more vibrant, younger, cool, hip, awesome people like Randy if we are giving them, like, why would you be here? Like, why would you spend 1.5 or 2 hours of your time here rather than at another networking thing or doing a business meeting? Why? Because we're making business connections. And I remember Kathleen and Mark and I were talking, and Kathleen said that in her old club, that's what they did. If you need a dentist, you go to the dentist in your club. If you need a financial planner, you go to the financial planner in your club, and you support each other. And that is very appealing to people who are looking for somewhere to spend their time. So we had a great idea in our club. We're going to do welcome bags. So every new person is going to get a swag bag from Rotary. So people who have businesses, the financial planners, the real estate agents, the oil people, we can each put in a gift and a little welcome note to the new member. So not only are they going to get bios of everyone in the club, not only are they going to get information about our partner organizations that we do work with and a whole bunch of Rotary swag, they're going to learn about the other members of the club. And it's like, oh, these are people I want to meet. And then another thing we do is we lift each other up. We don't gossip behind people's backs. We don't like bitch about this person or that person. We lift people up, especially in the meetings, because I've heard that as just a member before I was on the board, hearing people in the back. So our culture is we lift people up. So think about how you show up on Zoom meetings. I'm not looking at any one of you, and I'm not saying this is any of you, but I've done Zoom meetings with these type of situations, right? And all of you who are Zooming nowadays, right? You get the person in the towel. Absolutely. I've had someone in a towel. I actually had someone without a shirt on because they didn't know they were on camera because they were on their phone, so they couldn't see themselves. I've had people like in the middle of a speaker, like leaning over and talking to somebody else. I've seen people yawn. I've seen people get out of chairs. I had a couple that was actually dating and they were blowing kisses to each other. They didn't know we could see each other. People looking like they were falling asleep, eating, texting. I mean, there's all breastfeeding. I've had everything on Zooms on my team, and it's really good in Rotary because you know who you Zoom with and how you Zoom. If you're Zooming with your family and friends, you show up the way you show up. And each club is going to be a little different. I Zoomed into a Rotary meeting in Australia. They were wearing suits, 99 people. And I would say 75% of them were in suits. It's like, oh my God, that's not us. But, you know your audience and know that we are still professionals. We can be casual. I'm not super, I'm needless to say, I'm not really, I don't dress professionally. I am a casual person, but I'm still neat and pulled together. So also ask yourself, how do you and your club show up on social media? So you personally, so if someone reaches out to me with a friend request, I immediately look at their Facebook. And if they're like holding a beer and partying, that is not a person I will accept their friend requests from. So same with your club. You want to show up doing service projects, doing cool things. If you're not doing projects now, do stuff about past projects. And we're, again, very lucky to have Randy, but it's very important to show a face these days on social media. And if you're not good at it, reach out to someone who is good at it to help you. Another important thing is keep your commitments. Are you starting on time? Are you, you know, are you promising to do service projects and then you're not doing it? Are you showing up? Are they showing up? Is your board showing up? So commitments are part of the 4-way test, but everyone kind of forgets that, and it's important. Do you play hide and seek? Do you go MIA sometimes? It's like, I've had a tough month, so you don't go to any meetings. And the same with people on your team, on your like leadership team and in your club. You want to check on people, make sure people aren't having a hard time, especially right now with COVID. But think about it. When we think, you know, I'm not feeling great, I'm not going to a meeting, you don't show up, let someone know, because again, you matter. People think they don't matter, they do. So remember, you guys, we lead the charge. We are the ones that people are like, oh, we're going this way. Oh, we're going that way. Another thing is check in with your current members and listen to them. How are you doing? What are you doing? How did you feel about last year? What are you excited about for this year? Here's why I'm excited. What are you excited about? And for me, I want every new member to get hooked up with the committee, whether they're super active or not. I want them to get interviewed by our membership committee and me and find out, what do you like? Are you into the Hawaii health and harm reduction? Do you care about ho'olanapua? Is there something else you care about? So listen to people and listen to what their needs are so we can help them. And most importantly, I think, is to have a culture of gratitude, to be so appreciative, because these are people that are your volunteer army. Our change of command the other day was so beautiful, like the love that people shared on our outgoing presidents and Lane. It was just so beautiful to see. And I love that about Rotary. And this is our currency, is giving people gratitude and love. So that is the end of my presentation, which is the beginning of this amazing journey together this year. So if you ever need any help doing this with your club or talking to your club, I'm happy to help you. But I want to thank you for listening.
Yay!
That was amazing, Susan.
Thank you.
Okay, so you know, we didn't really choreograph it out like it was going to go like that, but it went like that, and it was super awesome. So thanks, Susan. That was really terrific. So okay, I'm gonna go back to Naomi, because Naomi actually was right in the middle of her thing, and then we sort of sidelined over to Susan. Worked out really good. So okay, Naomi, go ahead.
Oh, that was the segue to now you. So that's what her Vibrant Club looks like. Now you're going to give the great teaser on how you can get the club to do the workshop.
All right, cool. All right, so just show of hands. I mean, how many of you that are on the call today know what Vibrant Clubs is? Has seen the brochure, have a general idea of what it's about? All right. So if you don't know what it's about, you can you can go on Rotary Club Central. You can actually, it's very easy to find. And I think, Naomi, didn't you send the flyer out to everybody? The flyer in that little booklet? Okay. So you probably have it. All right. So Vibrant Clubs is basically about this. It's about trying to engage your membership. And remember, that's one of the 4 things in the strategic plan of Rotary. You know, increase our reach, our expand our reach, increase our impact. All right, engage, do a better engagement, and then have our ability to adapt. Okay, so Vibrant Clubs is designed to do that. So rather than walk through the brochure, which I know you guys can do it, let me make some comments about things that you may or may not have experienced in your club that will either help you to advance the whole Vibrant Clubs idea, or it'll actually take you back. Okay, so so on Saturday we had a little makeup meeting for the people who missed pets, and one of the gals who was on was a new president. She's only been president for she's only been a Rotarian for a couple of years, from Kona, and she had an older club, and one of the comments that she made was, you know, I have a lot of older members, and I know if I come up with some new ideas, I know that they're going to vote them down, or they're not going to want to do them. Okay, so who wants to comment on that? So if you're the existing, you're the current president, and you have your PE say that, oh, I don't think they're going to do it. Who has a response to that, or who has an idea about what they would say to somebody who thinks like that? Anybody?
Yeah, this is Dave Mosdrin.
Hi, Dave.
I would say that what you need to do is find a few people that are in your club that will rally with you to do those things, and then show them how much fun you're having by going to them, showing people the reaction of others that participated in those events, and how much fun it was. And I think you'll find a lot of them will come around. You know, sometimes new ideas are difficult to be accepted by the older traditional group, but sometimes those people become the leaders of those changes.
Okay, excellent. All right, anybody else has an idea about how you would respond to the fact that you know, they're just a bunch of older guys and they don't want to do anything different?
Arlene here.
Arlene here. Go ahead, Arlene here.
I would say that I would ask them if they had any new ideas that they would like to bring about. You know, I know personally I would like to introduce a couple new things, and I know a couple of our members wouldn't be able to participate because of just the way physically they can't. But some members can, and some of our younger members probably will be more interested in it. So I would try to challenge the other memberships who are trying to shoot other things or other ideas down, and see if they had other ideas or other interests that they might like to try.
Okay. Excellent. Anybody have an idea? Sarah, you have an idea?
I think it's easy for us to generalize or stereotype and say, well, the older ones aren't going to want to do it, you know, or whatever. But I think a lot of times if they're approached one-on-one, there's a far greater receptivity than we may think. It might just be more of a reaction to the unknown versus I don't want to do it and I won't do it.
Right.
You know, I think it just takes kind of that deference because they are our elders, and just reaching out to them personally where they feel valued and appreciated, and then see how they might be able to help support.
Okay, good one. Good one. Anybody else have an idea about that? Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I think, Joe, with some of the older members, you can invite them to come out when doing a project they might not be able to, you know, physically participate in, or you can ask them to come out and use their experience to help supervise. In a lot of cases, some of them will show up and they'll actually end up having a good time where they might be against it if they just hear about it. So.
Okay. Doug, were you going to say something? Somebody said something just before Joe got on. Anyone? Okay. All right. So here's the piece that we have to remember going forward. All right. The job is not about what you want. Even though you might have an agenda, you wrote down your goals, you know, you have this really exciting year planned. It's about you taking the club where the club wants to go. Now, that may sound simple, but it really isn't. Okay, so we talk about leadership. There's leadership, and then there's leadership of volunteers, which is totally different, right? Leadership of volunteers means that it requires a lot more finesse, okay, a lot more understanding, a lot more patience, because you can't just tell somebody, I want you to do this, and expect that they're going to do it. So, you know, one of the things in the 2 years I was president, I just finished my second year. I figured out in the first year that I believed that my purpose was just to manage all the activities of the club, and so I didn't really think about what was going to go on in the future of it till I was the president the next year, and then I realized that wow, I didn't do much last year to really set myself up for this year. So somebody who's in leadership is really thinking about the future. I want to I want to talk about that situation again, because I think whoever mentioned that it's not necessarily just the older guys. It's somebody who's used to doing it a set way, and then when that way changes, then you get pushback. Like some of the Rotarians in our club that have been there 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, we have one guy, Harold Ohata, who had 50 years of perfect attendance. He was actually Naomi's sponsor. And, you know, a lot of those guys, their idea of fun is that, wow, it was super fun when we handed out, when we handed out fines all the time, you know, and that it was a lot. We had mandatory attendance. So that was kind of like their idea of fun. So we had to sort of re-gauge what that was about for them in their head. I wanted to get from you guys some ideas about how you're thinking you're going to accomplish whatever new ideas. If you have new ideas, you have plans, how you were going to put those into motion this year so that they could actually happen, right? And everybody has a different process. So I'd like to hear from any of you who have a process in your mind or have been thinking about, I'm going to change this, I'm going to, you know, get more greeters, I'm going to do this. What's the process you're going to use to make that happen? Let's see. How about Sarah? You're right in the middle of my screen.
So hopefully, I'm not there yet, but this is my hope, to have everybody on with some responsibility. So all the positions, everybody would have like a co-chair, you know, 2 or 3 people for every committee. And then with that, I would start off with just a sample job description. But then from there, the committee would then work on it and edit it and modify it as they deem appropriate, as they would like. And then from there, each committee develop the goals, like what they want to accomplish in that category. So for example, hang on, my paper, one moment. Okay, so the ones I currently have or hope to have, treasurer, secretary, of course, international service, vocational service, membership, public relations and social media, service project, Rotary Foundation, flag program, which is a biggie for us, presenters and their biographies, coupled with secretary is Aloha Committee, and then anything youth related. And so all of those would have 2 or 3 people with them to modify the goal, the job description, and to come up with their personal goals. Then we'd present to the group and edit from there.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody else have a process or a way in which they're thinking about implementing the changes that they have on board for the coming year? Susan? Oh, okay. Arlene, do you have any ideas on how you're thinking about doing that?
Well, I kind of started already as one of our meetings. I drew up a calendar of events for the year. So going by Rotary theme and, kind of having what we usually do. And then I, put on the top, this isn't set in stone, it's flexible. One of the big things I do want to implement in my year is working with other clubs, since I'm in a small club and all the surrounding clubs are all small clubs as well. So why not help each other in the different projects and pool our people together? So I'm definitely a planner. So I know a lot of our members are planners as well. So I kind of gave them an idea of, 2-3 months, the whole year out of what to expect, service project wise, financial wise, and I've been talking to my members individually as well and see if they wanted to bring about anything new. But other than that, I'm always open to new ideas, and I try to tell my members that as well.
Okay, cool. So part of what I did last year is I took a leadership course. A Rotary leadership course was put on by District 5170, and I don't know where 5170 is, but it's on the mainland somewhere. And the thing went on for, I don't know, 7 or 8 months, and every month we had a different topic, right? And so they had a process, basically an action plan for every single, first it was membership, then it was youth service, then it was foundation, so right on down the line. Then it was public image. And here is the process, is really simple, right? So the first process was to survey your club. So if you want to improve membership, that you create a survey, and they had sample surveys of everything, right? So the first step was to survey your club. The second step was to take that information and get together with your board and come up with a consensus on how what you were going to do to basically implement the stuff that the club wanted. And you would find that out, of course, through your survey, right? All right. And then the action plan looked like this, right? It was basically 2 things. Every goal had a date on it. All right. So we had to write basically an action plan for every section. And so the goal had to be like this. All right. It had to be stated in writing like this. On January 2nd, our board will meet to discuss new ideas for membership. And then it had a timeline all the way down to the completion of whatever that goal was, right? So if the goal was, we're going to add 8 members, all right, they started backwards, and you had a goal that was stated by a date. So on January 2nd, we're going to do this. On February 3rd, we're going to do that. On March 4th, we're going to do this. And on May 15th, we will complete our goal by doing this. So it's very date driven. Because one of the things that that people who set goals are, they don't put dates down, so they lack accountability. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that they stated right next to that goal was the driver. Who was going to be the driver of that goal? Who is going to be responsible for making sure that goal happened? Whether it was the youth service chair, it was the president, it was the secretary, it was the whatever. All right, so if you're thinking about your goals, if you've already gone to Club Central, or you've already gone to My Rotary and you've listed your goals down, I would go back and look at those again and say, okay, I'm gonna put dates on all of these goals. And then I need to list a driver, a person, and maybe it's yourself, that's gonna drive every one of these goals, so that me as the president, when I look over and said, okay, whose job was that? And I could see that the driver of that was going to be, let's say Doug Adams, for example, that I could go to Doug and say, hey, Doug, what's up with that goal? Right? Okay. All right. So that was a simple thing. And after you do that for like 9 months in a row, one topic after another, after another, after another, then you get really good at understanding how that process works. And apparently it's been really pretty effective. Does anybody want to make a comment on this? Because what I'm going to do in the time that's left, I'm going to actually split you up into a breakout group, and I'm going to have you ponder a. Okay. Anybody else have something? All right. So here's what this is one of my favorite things that I like to do is put you in a breakout group. So you're going to be in 5 breakout groups of about 6 people. Now I'll make it 6 groups. Okay. And here's a question I want you to talk about. What are we going to do different this year, and how are we going to do it? What are we going to do different this year in our club, and how are we going to do that? Okay, and we're going to talk about 15 minutes on that, and we're going to. Is anybody unclear about this? Okay, what are we going to do differently this year, and how are we going to do that? Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to press a button, and you're going to be in a room with somebody, so you'll actually have to talk to them. So open up your camera if you can, and let's have this conversation. We're going to come back in 15 minutes. Okay, here we go. Wow, this is cool. Everybody's just disappearing. Okay. Sharon. Okay, Sharon, you're in a group. Let me see. Did we not put you in a group? Mark, are you in a group? Let's see. Sharon.
Can I be with Raji? Because he's my PE.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here we go. You're actually here there. Let's see. Sharon.
Am I?
Yeah, let me make sure.
Press join?
Yeah, you were supposed to join, and I don't know why I actually had you in there with Raji. So let me see. Yeah, for some reason you're not moving. So I'm gonna have to put you into another group because you actually are in Raji's group. But let me see if I can put you in there, and then after I get you in another group, I can put you into another group.
Okay.
All right. Sharon, there must be something about you that is not letting you join. Can you do me a favor? Oh, okay, you went. All right, there we go.
It is very good. I think that it is very good that everyone now is trying to work together because they can understand. I believe that the more that we connect, the bigger the and the stronger the impact that we can do in our communities, right?
Oh, thank you for the encouragement.
Are you incoming president, Anke?
No.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know. What's your current role?
Club services. I get pressure
Oh,
to
okay.
be to run for president, which I'm so new. I'd like to learn a little bit more. So I try to do a few other functions.
That's
To
good.
share.
So I think that I wanted to make a contribution. I think that what I would like to have different for my club this year is to find. I want to be the start on each of my members of what drives them. You know what I mean? Like I want to find out what is the thing in our club that motivates them. If they're more into a project, so I want to feed that. I want to find the right fit for each person so I can have engaged people, and I can create like this big group when everyone it's like it's
get out there and scenery and some interaction.
Hi, Benson.
Hey, hi. I just thought I would kind of jump in with you guys and see how you guys are doing over here.
No, it's very interesting because now, most clubs seem to be continuing with the service projects,
Yes.
and then there's definitely a plus to use the Zoom to recruit more members, so which is very interesting.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask them about the fundraising part, if anybody were thinking something different or.
Yeah, I think it's everything's going to be different. So this is going to be an awesomely creative year where we're going to create a new kind of Rotary that is going to look very different from this point going forward. So that's why this group is a super key group, and I'll say that when we get back into the main group. But this is a group that's going to like break the ice and set the new stage for everything. So it's going to be an amazing thing. So yeah, appreciate you guys interacting and wanting to do this. So okay, so I'm gonna bounce into another room here because we got a couple more minutes, and then I'll see you in the main group. Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Benson.
Here, how you guys doing? You guys figure out the entire world now? kind of got it going.
I can only do that if I've got some serious liquor in me.
Yeah. Well, hey, I tell you what, man. I mean, I have not missed the liquor. I mean, it's 7 o'clock, which is 3 hours past my happy hour. So, that's why I have to put this virtual background over here. I can't let you see the extent of my liquor cabinet back there. So I think I'm an alcoholic or something. Okay, good. Did you guys have a decent discussion here? I'm gonna call us back here in a couple of minutes. I just was kind of checking on you, make everybody was still sober. Good, good. You guys, thumbs up. All right, everybody can pass a sobriety test. All right, I'm gonna go into the next club over here and check on. I'm gonna give them the field sobriety test for all the guys in the next club. Okay, we'll talk to you soon. We're gonna be done in about 2 minutes. Okay, bye.
Like integrated, right? I think we always try to do the integrated approach, but I definitely think social media is definitely what has helped us the most. I mean, I don't think we've seen the ROI based off of like all of the magazine articles and everything, but I think with social media, most of our new members have learned through referrals or through social media, right?
And what media?
Instagram and Facebook, I think, are equally important because it attracts different demographics. So like if you're looking for the 20, 30, 40-year-olds, then Instagram. If you're looking for the 50, 60, 70-year-olds, then it's Facebook. I mean, I think, and what works with us is I think we're so active on both, is that if you look at our demographic, I mean, our analytics on Club Runner, like our club isn't young. Like we've grown our membership and we equally get every age group, right? Like we have a few 20-year-olds, we have a few 30-year-olds, we have I think a bulk of our members are 40 and 50, and then we have a few 60 and 70-year-olds. So I think, honestly, I think the integrated approach is probably the best. It's just all about being consistent and doing everything. You just need a really strong public image channel.
They also make it really easy to figure out when does the meeting meet? How do you join? You know, if you want to become a member, you get sent an application. In transferring clubs right now, because I need to, in order to be an AG in another area, I have found it difficult to find out, well, how do I become a member? There's no question with eClub. You just go and you say, you know, I'm kind of interested, and then boom, you get the information. So this has been a really good learning for me. Now I'm more in the Facebook crowd, right? Because I'm in my 50s, so I'm older. I'm really a senior member there. But although I've gotten, Randy helped me with my Instagram, so user friendly.
Young at heart. That's what I say.
And if every Rotarian planted 5 trees, that's 5,000 trees, and we would never have to meet.
Yeah.
So,
great idea. Okay, guys. Hey, thanks for kind of going through those bouncing around in the rooms. People coming up with some really, really great ideas. So I want to wind it up here in the last couple of minutes, just kind of leave you with this thought. Okay, if you were joining the meeting where Mark Maloney, RI president, came on a couple of weeks ago and joined us for a Thursday meeting, one of the things that he said right up front was that what has happened here in the last couple of months will change Rotary forever. Okay, that's the truth. All right, so one of the great opportunities we have is that we're going to reset the way Rotary is being done in your club, in our state, in our district, on our island. We're going to reset it, this group right here. So all of the stuff, the conventional stuff that you've learned about Rotary, even if you've only been in here 1 year or you've been in here 50 years, some of that is going to be relevant, but we're going to have to get creative, all right? Our meetings we're no longer going to probably have, like our club meets every Tuesday at lunch, probably never going to happen again, right? This is the new standard. What you're seeing, 25 people on the screen, that's kind of our new meeting. Service project's going to look different. Fundraising going to look different. Membership going to look different. The whole our clubs are going to look different. All right. And this is the group right here that I'm looking at that's going to change all of that, that you're going to be on the leading edge of trying to figure that out. Now, you can look at it like, God, why me? Or you could say, thank you, Jesus, for choosing me to be at the tip of the spear to make the changes that's going to set the bar for Rotary for the rest, probably the rest of eternity. because it's gonna change right here, and you're gonna be the group that's gonna do it. So what it's gonna take is this, right? We have to talk to each other like this frequently. Okay, so Naomi and I, yeah, she's gonna ended up being kind of like my Rotary wife, where we're gonna be on this almost every single Monday at 7 o'clock and then several times during the week. We got to have these conversations between each other to talk about ideas, to talk about thoughts, to talk about what worked, to talk about what didn't work. Okay, because that's the only way we're going to try to figure this out. Because if you're sitting in a club somewhere on Maui or Kona or on the Big Island or in East Honolulu or wherever, and you're thinking, I'm going to figure this thing out on my own, you're not. You're not going to figure it out. That's why, you know, like I was just in Randy's room. Okay, Randy was talking about social media. Now, that's Randy's passion. Randy knows a lot about that. We could learn a lot from listening to somebody like Randy. But every single one of you is going to try something in your club this year. And that's why I asked the question, what are we going to do differently this year and how are we going to do it? You're going to try something that's going to hit it out of the park. All right? And then you're going to come on a training like this and say, hey, you know what? We tried this fundraiser and we raised like $20,000 and everybody still got to stay at home. That's the kind of stuff that we need. Okay, so all the Rotary stuff, follow it. I think everybody's club needs to increase their Rotary IQ. So Rotary IQ is how much knowledge does everybody in your club have about Rotary? Does everybody know who Paul Harris is, right? Does everybody know what the foundation does? Okay, that there's a bunch of different foundations out there. Okay, because the more people are aware in your clubs, the more that they know about Rotary and what Rotary does, the more engaged they are. Okay, so when you look at a super engaged club, that's a club that knows a lot about what Rotary does and Rotary's mission and what their club wants to try to accomplish. So I'll kind of leave it at that. You know, I'm sure we have a next meeting. I kind of depend on Naomi to tell me, okay, the next meeting is, and then we.
Okay, so
yeah, go ahead.
Time. So anybody who needs to drop off can drop off, but we didn't talk about best practices, some elements of conducting a vibrant club workshop, and Lorraine was brought up another thing about continuity. If you start something next year, how does it continue instead of just everybody changing out every year? So anybody who wants to leave can leave, but if we can cover those things, best practice, elements of running a good vibrant club workshop and continuity.
You wanted me to do that, or you're going to do that? No, you do that. No, you do that. I'm tired already. So, okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, somebody had a question. Go ahead, Joe.
I do. Is there any reason that we only serve as president for 1 year? Would we be better off, especially in these times, to have like 2-year terms? Yeah. So
you know what? Yeah, Joe, I agree with you 100%. I just finished a 2-year term and I was much better my second year, and I think it was better for the club too. That's a bylaws thing. So if you want to go in and change it in your bylaws that you can give the president the option if he wants to do 2 years, or just change it. I know the Wahiawa Wailua club, it's automatic 2 years. So you're the president, you're 2 years. So that's a bylaws thing that needs to be, that if you change it, you can do it. You know, I don't know, you want to say something about that, Naomi?
Well, no, it's up to the club, because Carol is doing 2 years. Randy did 2 years, right? Cheryl did 2 years. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's
yeah, okay.
It's good to have 2 years, because then it's the second year, right, that you figure out, oh, and that's what I was supposed to do, and then it's a better thing to do the second time. But if it's because nobody else wants to be, then we got to work on how can you build a stronger foundation, a stronger leadership continuity path for your club. So Benson, you're 5 deep. You want to tell everybody about 5 deep?
Yeah, well, one of the things, you know, you can build continuity is to develop a leadership line. And a leadership line will do a lot for a club. Well, one, it allows you to build some continuity from year to year. So, you know, when I'm president, I'm finishing right now, you know, I can talk about programs that I know aren't going to take more than a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 or 5 years down the line. The good thing about also establishing a leadership line is you can get newer members or people that haven't been a Rotarian for that long, and you can say, hey, you know, you may not want to be president now or feel like you're not qualified to do it, but how about 5 years from now? And so the longer you can establish that leadership line, the more continuity your club is going to have from year to year. And Joe, you hit it right on the head. I mean, if you're a guy that says, hey, I can do it for 2 years, like we have a Bill over here at North Hawai'i. Now, North Hawai'i is a club that has really struggled, right? I mean, they used to have a 40-something, and now I think they're down to like, I don't know, 8 or 9 members. And so they called Bill, right? What's Bill's name? But anyway, he's the older member, and he said, I'm going to do this for 2 years. So he signed up right off the bat. I'll be president for 2 years, and we're going to rebuild the club back up. So I think if your club is in a rebuilding phase, or you think like, well, we could do a lot if we had some consistent leadership for the next couple of years, hey, just go to your board and say, hey, you know what? I think I could have so much more fun if I just did it one more year. And I guarantee you, they're not going to say, oh, no. Term limit.
It's my wife that has to be convinced about that, not me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a whole different deal. Or you could
She's already doing a lot of the work, right, Joe? So,
that's true.
Okay.
She is a Rotarian, so that's okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's got to be what the board wants. What does the club wants to? So we need to take that into consideration. So, Benson, if you can cover, please, the best practices and elements of a good conducting a good workshop, and then that I think we did cover continuity. Yeah, Lorraine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me just do this really quick, briefly, right? So conducting a good workshop, and I'll just give it to you simply, that the more simple it is, the better it is. Okay, so one of the criticisms that I've always had about Rotary is if you use like a stock, like, I don't know, you know, foundation presentation or whatever it is, you go onto Rotary and you get that and show it into your club. Whoever puts those together has way too much verbiage in there. I mean, you know, it's all text in there. And so you only need about 2 or 3 of those slides before people are going to be falling asleep. So I would encourage you, so if you're going to do presentations to your club, keep them simple. The ones that I put together usually have 1 sentence and 1 picture. You know, because you can talk about all of the stuff that's in there around what's not in the picture. So
he also knows his audience.
What's that?
You also know your audience.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does really help to know your audience. And I think the more simple that you can make it, the easier it is. What I found is more effective with people is that if it's simpler and you do it more often, it actually sinks in better, because we're geared as humans to learn by repetition. And so what I found, if you say something simple and and it's repetitive, people tend to get it. Then to try to cover like 45 points of something in like 20 minutes.
But actually, when you're doing a workshop, it should be them talking, not you talking, right? And right. I think David, did you want to say something, David?
David wanted to say something?
No, I think my hand was just kind of resting.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, well, it's getting late, right?
Yeah, that's the other piece of it is to try to engage people to do most of the talking, because you know, here's the word that we're trying to use this year is tactical, right? Tactical information. Give people information that they could actually use. They could go to their club and they could implement it like today or tomorrow, all right? So more simple is better, and especially when you're putting it out to your club. I do want to say that it's really the board that is it's the juice, it's the energy, it's the wheels that make the club roll. It's the board. And so if you've got a good board and you say, hey, look, I can put this up, but I can't drive it myself. You guys have to participate. And the more the board is engaged, I think Susan said that in her presentation, right? You show up and like, you know, none of the board is there. That says a lot about the club. So the board has to be engaged. And then just quickly about the whole best practices thing. You know, if you're a best practices person, if you do that or are familiar with that term in your work, and I know a lot of you guys are, that comes from feedback. All right. Best practices doesn't come from somebody who just writes it down and says, okay, I'm going to do it this way every single time. It comes from feedback. When you do something and you ask for feedback, which if you're a good presenter or a good leader, you're constantly asking for that feedback. So I'm a big person. I'm a person that believes in doing surveys. So the more that you can survey and interact with people and get that feedback, the more effective you're going to be in developing best practices for your club. So I just condensed down, I don't know, maybe 3 hours of presentation into about 2 minutes. So, so I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Naomi.
Mm-hmm. I think when you have everybody's time is really valuable. So if you can work with your trainer and maybe Vincent on doing an agenda first and putting time limits. So if your goal is to get everyone to speak, maybe you break up into groups and then give them a topic, but you want to get their feedback, their ideas on what their issues are. So what are the things we need to work on? So you might want to start with everybody. Okay, what's the club's strength? What are the weaknesses? What are some kind of things that we need to work on? And then take those issues and then break out into sections so people can speak. Because if they're there in smaller groups, then they're going to be able to share their ideas and speak maybe more freely. Then you can have them list down what all of their ideas are, kind of brainstorming. These are some of the things that we can do for membership. This is what we can do for community service or needs assessment. You know, with Kathleen, we were talking about maybe getting stakeholders in the windward side, all of the community groups, representation from the schools, and let's come together and have a conversation and see, okay, what's happening in our neighborhood? What can we do? What are the things that are important? And so once you prioritize the important things and you find some solutions to that, you find the action steps that you can do. So Vincent said, you know, getting the time frame, the time limit, these are your action steps. When do you need to do it? And then when you have that in your mind, it's clear that, you know, the person who has to do it with the group, and it's better to have committees, by the way, because if you have one person and they don't do it, then it doesn't happen, right? And then regroup maybe once a quarter. Where are we on these action steps? And that's where you can move the dial a little bit more. And people, even if it's not anything really drastic, at least people had buy-in. They had an ability to say something. You care, you listen. And so those are some of the things that you can do is, you know, go with a clean piece of paper and say, hey, let's talk and listen, and then come up with the action steps. Okay, so I wanted to ask everybody, have you had these visioning or strategic plan sessions in your club? Yes?
Not yet.
How would you get people to come and participate?
breakout meetings.
Feed them.
Yeah.
That's what we do, right, Jeff? Where's Jeff?
Yeah. It's about food.
Yeah.
So, think of maybe creative ways of doing that. I'm sure Randy comes up with a lot of creative things to do to get people to participate. But it's all about participation, because when people get to talk, then there's more buy-in. For Rich, that might be a harder thing to do for your big club. But how do you get people to talk about what the strategic plan is, or how to move the club forward?
Well, we've sent out a survey. I'm waiting to hear the results, and then we're having a board meeting on the 25th of July to, take that into consideration and move forward from there.
Great, thank you. Okay, so that's one thing. So start thinking about, how do we get everybody together, and how do you get them to talk? How do you get the ideas and then put it on paper? Think about, what's the goal? Why are you doing this, and why you need to get feedback? David?
We sent out a survey when Monica was president, and then, it took months actually to get all the answers back. And then finally she compiled the answers, and then she talked about it. And as it turned out, we never ended up doing anything. And I think part of the reason was that written survey questions are so difficult to get honest answers. And I think what would seem to be better, particularly if the club isn't too bad, is just talking to people and having them give honest feedback and interaction in a safe space. Because those don't seem to work for me, the written stuff.
Yes, a lot of times it does work, where people can be, they feel safe and they can speak, and it's they feel that their voice is worth the time and effort for everybody. Okay, Joe?
Well, you said something that's very important, and that you talk about communications. And at least before Zoom, we didn't necessarily do that a lot. And everybody was doing their own thing in their own clubs. And it's much more difficult if you try to do it that way, because there's a lot of good ideas out there, and they may not work exactly for you, but it gives you the idea, and then you can take it and adapt it, and especially something that works already. And just by sharing ideas and meeting, somewhat infrequently among all the presidents, you can talk about things, and I'm having a problem with this. This is working really well for me. That as a group, we can move forward, and especially some of the smaller clubs, it would help them, but they don't have a lot of people that do things. So.
Yep. So you said that those words with the priorities, it's being adapting to change, to expand your reach, to do the engagement. So those are the priorities for Rotary as well. Okay, so I guess time to go to sleep, huh?
Well, time to wind it up for today.
Okay, any last words, any thoughts that you all have?
Okay, you guys are doing a good job, man. We got to keep going, man. The fun part is just about here. So.
Oh, Benson, can I Naomi, I just wanted to ask you, this is being recorded, right, tonight?
Yes.
So how could we go back and take a look at the first part of the meeting if you missed part of it?
On the website, go to rotaryd5000.org. On the right-hand side, it says webinars. So when you click on webinars, it has the recording, the YouTube for all of the prior webinars. So go binge and go look at them all. So
I will.
Rotary Club Central is there, so you can see how to put in your goals. So just follow the steps. So this Thursday, do you guys know about the one on Thursday, right? Benson's going to do one on online meetings. So we'll talk about all the different kinds of options that are out there for having these online meetings. And he's going to give us some tips on how to conduct those online meetings.
So it's on Thursday at what time, Naomi?
7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
And then next week,
you guys are out a link, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's the same link.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We
Okay,
good?
everybody. We're
We're
good.
good. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Andy,
you.
thanks for
Thank you,
coming.
Naomi. Thank you, Benson. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Take care,
Good
everybody.
See you next week.
guys.
Well, see you
Have
Thursday.
a good night.